Hey, you. You're finally awake.
Hello everyone and welcome to beating Skyrim with a fork. Okay, so there are multiple things that I could do here. I've seen other tutorials of people using kind of cheaty methods to make it so the fork does a whole bunch of damage, but I'm not doing that. There will be no cheese, there will be no glitches, just me and a fork that does 1 damage. So, yeah, there will be no companions, unlike the pacifist video. I have to do all the fighting myself. No conjurations, no damage spells, nothing. I did want to play this in vanilla, but then I decided to add some mods for graphics. The graphics mods will be in the description. This was before I got my PC, so this was all recorded on an Xbox, so the quality isn't as good as mine normally is, so please excuse that. But yeah, other than the graphics, this is completely vanilla, and according to my computer, I started recording this August 12th, 2024. At the time of me doing this voiceover, it is July 18th, 2025. I rage quit so many times that it is nearly a full year later. So I hope you guys appreciate this. This took forever. Now let's get right into it. Okay, so the game started off normal, and the only thing that I realized was that Roloff's face was really smooth. I don't know which mod added that, but yeah, it was awesome. And also, Ulfric's hair is just gorgeous. Also, there's this really funny glitch where this horse was standing directly where Hadvar needed to be, and Hadvar's character just didn't know what to do. For some reason, I decided to play as a chef because I'm using only a fork, so I created my character to be the one, the only Gordon Ramsay. I don't know why I'm like this. I don't know what the horse's deal is, but he needs to back up. I can't take it seriously, I'm sorry. I'm gonna just kind of zoom through the intro just a little bit because this is a lot like the pacifist video where I just run through the entire thing because I can't do any damage without a fork. Also, there is such an obvious circle on the wall where Alduin is gonna break through. Maybe if you see a circle like that, don't step on it. But yeah, I literally just ran through the entirety of Helgen. Why is he doing the family death guy pose? Whatever, we're moving on. My brain, I can't stay focused. I need to, okay, stay focused. So I literally sprinted through the entirety of Helgen. Okay, no, that was just rude. Okay, when I finally got inside with Roloff, I noticed it was really dark, and the candles were flickering, and it actually has to do with one of the lighting mods I added, which makes everything just incredibly dark. So I took the axe, I didn't mean to, but I instantly dropped it because, I can't use anything but a fork. So I just left it on the floor, and just like the pacifist video, I just kind of watched Roloff, fight everyone, and I was just a cheerleader on the sidelines. Yeah, I said I was gonna do this without a follower, but there's really nothing I can do about getting rid of him right now because it's the tutorial, so I just kind of gotta just deal with him. While we were in this room and Roloff was fighting everyone, I decided to start collecting some herbs and garlic and everything because for some strange reason, I decided at this point I am not leaving any food behind. I am a chef, I'm taking it all with me. And also, do you see those bowls and forks and everything? Yeah, I took those all with me as well. I don't know why, I thought it would be funny. One of the mods that I added actually had to do with spells. So as you can see here, the dude's lightning looks so cool. And I'm so excited to show you what the fire and everything looks like. I just wanted to show that. I know we're going through Helgen real fast. I just wanted to show you that. Okay, so I stole the dead man's gold, and then I continued down the, extremely dark thing. It's probably not as dark as I'm remembering. Actually, now that I think about it, different dungeons and stuff, it is stupidly dark. But yeah, I just watched everyone fight. Okay, and then once we got the doors open, I ran past the spiders, I ran past the bear, everything. I just booked it out of the cave as fast as I could. I decided against survival mode, and just take a moment to just look how pretty this looks. The paths were really hard to see, but I think it was from the mods, but that's okay because it looks pretty. The problem here is that I can't progress the storyline until I get a fork because, I can't have any companions or anything, so unlike the pacifist video, I just can't go straight, grab Feindal, and just leave. No budget Legolas is going to save me this time, so I need to make my way to Riften because the place I want to go to is called a Redwater Den. So I need to make my way to Whiterun, and it should cost me 25 gold pieces to take a carriage to, head to Riften. And I'm at 49 gold right now, so that shouldn't be a problem. Oh wait, it only costs 20 gold, not 25. My bad. I just looked at that. Also, I forgot I was playing a man, and I kind of jump scared myself when I got into the carriage. Okay, I made it to Riften, and just look how gorgeous it is here. The guards didn't let me in, so I just marked the place where I needed to go on my map, and then I just headed over there. I did commit some thieveries along the way. Every farm that I came across, I just took everything because, you know, I'm probably gonna need to heal up a lot. So I stole everything. Along the way, I did get attacked by a wolf. But there wasn't anything I could do about it. Oh goodness, there's 2 of them. Yeah, so there's nothing I could do about it. So I just used battle cry to try and, you know, get them off of my trail. And that worked momentarily, but I just had to run. There's like physically nothing I could do about it. So I just did my best to continuously heal myself. And then I made it to like the red water den or whatever it's called. And my hope there is that the bandits or whatever is there would, you know, kill the wolves. They did nothing. This dude just yelled for help. And like ran at the wolves and ran away. And the wolf was like, oh, I'll just go after Gordon Ramsay. And so they look at him. Look at this man. He did nothing. Once inside, there was another person there, but they were equally as useless. So I just went down into the cellar. They can't follow me because wolves can't climb ladders. Hopefully. Once I was in the cellar, I saw the sword and I wanted it so bad, but they let me in there and it was stupidly dark. I think it's this mod right here, Skyrim is luminous, but it was like stupidly dark. I think I turned it off. I can't exactly remember. Okay, so the instructions I was following said next to the Blackbriar mead bottle on a table next to a knife. Those were my instructions that I had to go on. As you just saw, I pickpocketed the key off of the lady, then I went to the back door here and I opened it, you know, with the key. And I didn't know where to look, so I just decided to try and do my best to sneak through because if you guys have never done this one before, these are all vampires, okay? So they're already like really strong and I don't have a weapon. Thank goodness I was sneaking because this dude just walked past because, you know, the second you open that door, they become aggressive because they know their whole facade is off. But yeah, luckily he seems to be blind. Okay, so this dude just kind of walked past. He was looking straight at me. So once he left, I closed the door on him. I had my fingers crossed that the fork would be in this room right here, but unfortunately I was not that lucky. So I looted everything, and then I continued into this bigger room here where there were even more vampires. So, yeah, they saw me instantly. Okay, so at this point, I just decided to run like a crazy person and just try and kind of scout out the area around me. So when I inevitably die, I can sneak to where I need to go. But that didn't work, and I died almost instantly. Oh, and right there you can see I actually picked up the torch because I didn't know if it would like make a difference if I was able to sneak better or not. And so this time I decided just to try and sneak just a little bit more. So the thing is, my sneak level, not very high, so I kind of got spotted a lot. So every time they detected me, I just reverted back to an earlier save, and then I just continued trying to sneak past, and yeah, it was extremely lengthy. I do believe I did this for almost 30 minutes. Maybe a little bit longer than that. I think I say somewhere later on my notes, but I can't remember. So yeah, this went on for a while, and finally I grew impatient. And I just decided to sprint through the entire thing, yet again. So, in my notes, I wrote, I ran like a mad person with at least 1015 enemies behind me. I love that incredibly specific and totally realistic number I provided myself with. So I tried to get deeper into the dungeon because if I remember correctly, I was pretty sure there was like a dungeon or something down here. So I was hoping I could like come across something that could at least like help me. And yeah, there's just a random skeleton. I don't remember him showing up. But I just was spamming healing potions, healing spells. As you can see, it went really well. I came across this trapped chest, so I saved the game and then I opened it and then hordes of arrows came out of the walls. I can't remember if I actually got anyone with that. I didn't write it down. I mean, I hit him, but I didn't kill him. And then I saw like these little axes coming down. So my thought process was, if I can stand on the other end of the axes, the enemies will run through to get me, but they're dumb. So they'll just die. So that was my plan. There were spikes on the other end, as you know, you just watched me die several times. But I finally made it to the other side without stepping on them, and the plan started working beautifully. They all started dying right as they were coming through. I mean, it did start to get a little bit sketchy when they started reviving each other. I thought one of them would get close enough to tag me, but luckily they did not. The only problem that I really had at this point was that archer over there. Because he was shooting me, I wasn't able to get him like to come through. So I decided if I sprint at him full speed, I'm gonna eventually get close enough to where, you know, he's just gonna like whip out a dagger. I tried to open the chest to get the arrows to kill him, but that didn't work. So when he whipped out the dagger, I just took off, and since he was already focused on like melee combat, he just followed me and died. So it worked perfectly. I stood here for a good like 10 minutes, and the only thing that got close enough to hit me was that death hound, as you saw. And the rest of the death hounds on the map were actually locked in cages. So at this point, I was kind of free to just walk around and try and find what was happening. Why did I do that? That was clearly there. Why did I do that? So I ran into a few more enemies, and whenever they came at me, I just decided to try and run back to the traps to see if, you know, the traps would take out the enemies. I mean, it was a good and solid plan, but I didn't account for the fact that they have weapons and I don't, and so I became not an alive person anymore. And dude, how many times am I gonna step on that trap? But yes, trying to get them to step on the trap took quite a few tries. I had to revert to my earlier save several times. Once the traps took out the people, I came over to the blood spring. And if you've never been to the blood spring before, basically every time you touch it, it gives you a disease. So I decided to spam click it to see how many diseases I could get. And I think I ended up with 7, I believe, 7 different diseases. So after splashing around in the forbidden puddle, I decided, since I cleared the building, I need to go find that fork. I searched every nook and cranny of this place. I very soon began to wonder if I was at the wrong place. And then something magical happened. Near the beginning of the dungeon, on top of a plate, was a fork and a knife. Finding it is one thing, but wielding it is another, because there was quite a few forks in Skyrim, but you can't actually wield all of them. So I needed to put it to the test. And it worked! I gave it a few practice swings. I was just so relieved because this took probably like an hour, maybe an hour and 30 minutes in that place. I left Redwater Den and the wolves were waiting very patiently for me. And so then the people started running away. Since this is my first actual battle, my eyes were glued to the wolf's health bar. And just look how painfully slow this is going down. After that battle, I came to a very painful realization just how hard this entire challenge is actually gonna be. At this point, I decided to head to Riverwood, trying to find what supplies I could. Part of me wanted to glitch under Whiterun, that way I could just get a whole bunch of free stuff, but remember, I said no cheating and no cheese, so I can't do that. Also, a Sleeping Giant Inn had this absolutely adorable sign that I wanted to show you guys. It's really cute. I headed up to Bleak Falls Barrow and was trying to do my best to sneak past the wolf and everything, but it didn't work, so I had to get into a painfully long battle with the wolf again. I tried sneaking past these bandits, but it did not work. And then I realized it probably has something to do with the fact that I'm wearing heavy armor. I didn't want to risk going light armor for this playthrough because, yeah, I'm gonna need some serious reinforcements if I can't pack a punch. Once at the actual barrow, I think I did a pretty good job at sneaking up until a certain point. And then I just kind of booked it to the inside. I tried sneaking past these 2 bandits, but it didn't work, so I just reverted back to an older save and, you know. What the? Yeah, there were some weird glitches in that run. I did not write that down in my notes, so that kind of caught me off guard. Try to sneak past them again, and lo and behold, it did not work. So I just got into a fight with them. And as I was fighting, I kind of was thinking to myself, if I could dual wield forks, that would be sick. The fight against the bandits was actually, it went surprisingly well, you know, given the fact that my weapon only does 1 point of damage. But the main problem was the extreme amount of time it actually took to kill them. It was annoying. I put a perk into sneak to try and, you know, sneak better. I'm a terrible narrator. It was at this point when I realized that I did something really stupid. Remember when I jumped in the forbidden puddle and it gave me 7 diseases? Yeah, I didn't cure those at all. So I popped a potion of cure disease. Hopefully that would help. Okay, so then I put in the code, yada yada, y'all know how to open the door. But something weird was happening every now and again, so I wanted to let you know in case you saw it. Sometimes I would just go invisible. Or sometimes my fork would go invisible, so it looked like I was just punching them, but I wasn't. I did confirm the fork was still there. It was really weird though. Annoyingly enough, these skeevers actually did take quite a bit to kill. As you can see, the health bar is not budging very much, so... Okay, so I finally made it to the spider, and I was trying my best to sneak around it, and then when it saw me, I went and reverted back to the save a fort so I could try and sneak around. But a really weird glitch happened, and whenever I actually went back, it started me at the very beginning of Bleak Falls Barrow again. It just teleported me, the enemies were still dead and everything, which was really weird, so I had to go and get all the way back down there. Because of this glitch, I decided just to fight the spider because it was taking forever, so I paralyzed the fork with a weak paralysis potion. I figured it probably wouldn't work, but I mean... yeah, but like after 2 hits, I realized how long that was going to take, so I just ran to Arville, whatever his name is, and cut him down. It says Orville on my notes because I do text-to-speech, so that's why I said Orville. Did I say text-to-speech? I meant speech-to-text. Regardless, he decided to run away, and I kind of was like, okay, just go. I don't care, because the Draugr were going to basically kill him. So I just kind of collected and then made my way over to him eventually. Okay, so for the Draugr, one of the mods that I added did change how they looked, and I found them quite terrifying, actually. They look a little bit more like dead, if that makes sense. And then he took one swing at me, and I realized, yeah, I'm not doing anything. So I just ran down, found the trap. I did find Arville, so I did that, and I did the similar thing to when I did the pacifist video. I just kind of stood on the other side of the blades and let them come to me, but a few of them were actually pretty smart, and they got through and killed me, so. And after getting murdered, I realized I didn't actually save the game after escaping from the spider. So I was there again, and I decided to just sneak around, and I think I put it in a time lapse for you. As you can see, I'm going like back and forth between saves a lot of the time, just trying to figure out how to get past him. After 15 minutes, I managed to go over there without the spider seeing me, and I actually got a voice line I've never heard before.
What? Who are you? Oh, never mind. Cut me down before that thing gets us.
After cutting Arville down, the spider figured out where we were, so I just left, because there's no way I'm dealing with that. I remembered to save this time, though, and then I went back with the Draugrs, and I decided to try out the axes swinging down again, and they worked a lot better than last time. And yeah, it was actually really funny because I wanted to get a cool shot of my character, like, watching all of the Draugr come by, but I forgot that I took off his armor to sneak a little bit better, so it got really awkward. One of the archers didn't want to come in, so, I turned off what they're called, the axes, to try and, like, lure him in a little bit more, so that way I could, turn it back on and he would die. And it worked, actually, so. Any enemies who chased me for, like, this area, I just lured back to the axes and had the axes kill him. Oh, it does look like here I managed to take down a Draugr with my fork. That's actually exciting. Oh, then there was a conveniently placed fire that I exploded, and that made my job so much easier. And then I just continued down the barrel doing this. I would smack the Draugrs with a fork, and then if I thought they weren't going to die fast enough, I just lured them back to a trap and killed them with that. I did find this chest while sneaking around, and I saw this leather scout armor, and I figured it would be really good for sneaking because it's made of hide. I'm sorry. I'll stop with the cheesy jokes now, but literally, I don't remember that armor being in the base game, so I hope it's not from a mod, but I can't remember. Okay, so I ran past a whole bunch of Draugr to, like, try and get to the door. So my theory was if I can just heal faster than they can hurt me, I'll be fine. I'm pretty sure it did not end up working like that. So I waited for them to get a bit closer, and then I tried to smack this to kill them with fire. That was actually more, actually was pretty effective. And the thing is, this code is permanently imprinted in my brain, so I just quickly did it and got past. I finally made it to the boss room, and then I went and got the Word of Power and was dreading that the boss was about to wake up. Okay, so when the fight started, I put a perk into one-handed, hoping it would help me cause a bit more damage, and it didn't. So then I went back in time a little bit to try and put that perk into something useful instead. Okay, at this point, I was doing absolutely no damage. So you see these steps where I was just on? What I would do is I would actually wait for him to hit, I'd back up, I'd smack him, and then when he got a little bit too close, I'd jump up on that platform and try and jump over his head. It was not foolproof, but I was just trying to use the steps as a buffer. And you know, I feel like without it, the fight would have been a lot harder. In my notes, I wrote his shield was starting to look mighty nice. If I had a hand open, like I could use a shield, like as long as I wouldn't bash it, it wouldn't damage, just absorb. I don't know why I wrote it like that. But what I meant was if I had a shield, I could just use it to absorb damage and I wouldn't bash with it. So that would still be using only a fork. After what felt like an eternity later, his health finally started getting low. And then he just started running. Of course, I chased after him and I figured out that Gordon Ramsay chasing someone down with a fork has to be the most terrifying thing ever. Just look how slow his health is going down. And eventually I killed him! This fight took 20 minutes. And I'm not exaggerating. Probably more than that. It was awful. Okay, so I took the Dragonstone and then I finally looked, like, you know, in the chest for my reward. And do you remember when I said I wanted his shield? There was a shield in the chest. I didn't need to wait to kill that guy to get his shield. There was a shield in the chest! For some reason, I decided it would be fun to pick up the skull. So I dropped it. And then I actually felt really bad. So then I put it back up and I tried to make it as, like, precise back as it was. But the Skyrim mechanics aren't, you know, the best. So I just kind of left it there, screaming at the sky. When I was at Whiterun, my main goal was to try and find a blacksmith and see if the blacksmith could do anything to try and make my fork a little bit better. Looks like I'm stealing cabbages. I didn't write that down in my notes, so I just... Oh, I did write it down. It says, I helped some farmers collect crops without permission. Oh, it looks like I'm doing a pretty scenery here. I'll be quiet.
I've been looking for you. Got something I'm
Hey,
supposed to
ruined
deliver.
my pretty scenery.
Your hands only.
I wrote that in my notes. I need to look at my notes more. I wrote these for a reason. Let me try to get a pretty view again. After the cinematic shot, I realized it was actually really good that it was raining because if my character gets too bloody, this has to do with the blood mod, your speech skill will actually decrease dramatically. The rain actually washed a bunch of blood off my body, so it would be easier to persuade my way into the town if that makes any sense at all. It's now a good time to mention that I have a Discord, link in description. So I finally made my way into the city, and dude, Whiterun was just gorgeous, so... So then I went to the grindstone, hoping I would be able to improve the fork, but it didn't work at all. Yeah, my heart literally dropped. Yeah, I made my way to Dragon's Reach and then I robbed the dead guy under the bridge. And then I walked it. Oh, it looks like I stole a cod as well. But yeah, I made it there and did like the whole, wait, I wrote in my notes, I stole all their fishies so I could cook and eat them because that's what Gordon would do. I did forget air was a thing and started drowning. I need to look at my notes more. I knew that Irileth was running at me, so I wanted to see how close I could actually get to the Jarl without her stopping me. And I deducted that she sucks at her job because I was able to like literally like put my hand on his head before she's like, hey, what are you doing? The Jarl brought me to the mage, you know, as he does at this point in the story, and I was realizing that enchanting was probably my best bet. And luckily, you can enchant a fork. I just needed to find an enchant. So I decided to start collecting weapons and stuff that had enchants on them that I could put on my fork. Before the dragon fight, I realized that Gordon Ramsay wouldn't let you just walk up to a dragon and fight him on an empty stomach. And I realized that he probably wouldn't carry around a whole bunch of raw meat too. So I just started cooking everything. I may or may not have wiped the kitchen completely clean. By the way, this is no hate to Gordon Ramsay. I actually think he is amazing and I watch like all of his shows. I'm a big fan. But yeah, there was a lot of free food in the kitchen. I guess anything is free if nobody is looking. But yeah, like I said earlier, completely wiped out the kitchen and I was looking for a very specific item here. Bread. I found one piece of bread, but I needed to search the city for another piece of bread for something I cannot disclose at this moment. And I did find a fork in the kitchen actually, but it was not the, it was not a usable fork. It was just one of those like miscellaneous collectible ones. So I still took it though. To be fair though, it's probably a good thing that it wasn't like an actually usable fork, because if there was an actually usable fork in Whiterun all of this time when I went and just like fought vampires for it, I would have been pretty mad. Balgriff gave me iron gauntlets of wielding, and they're supposed to make the, what did they do? In my notes say 100 taxi, so I don't know. Probably one-handed attacks do 20% more damage. Okay, but I did write in my notes that this did not work, so... I robbed the place while they were taking forever to talk about the dragon because I was bored. And then after that, Balgriff told me to get to like the watchtower or whatever as fast as I could. So of course I took a little detour, and I was actually able to find another piece of bread. But if you guys don't know me, I really don't like to steal in video games. It makes me feel really bad. So I bought it. But then immediately after feeling bad and not wanting to steal the bread, I immediately began stealing this farmer's crops. So I don't know where my moral compass was pointing during all of this. I finally made my way to the watchtower and the dragon was incoming. I wanted to do this fight by myself, but it is physically impossible because of all of the NPCs. So I knew this was going to be an easy fight compared to what is to come. And of course, what I did with the zombies. So yeah, just enjoy. I absorbed the dragon's soul and, of course, forgot to save, so I had to go kill the dragon again. But I mean, I got a sick cutscene this time, so... Okay, so then I went and I put a piece of bread on either side of the dragon. This one rolled away a little bit, but it still worked. And I made the world's first dragon idiot sandwich. I don't know why I'm the way that I am, but you get to watch it happen. And then I went and I talked to the dude. I talked to the dude, and then he told me to go to High Hrothgar. So then I went to Helgen. I didn't really know what to expect because I hadn't been to Helgen this early before, but the fires were still going, and there weren't any bandits there, which was a plus, but then I had to turn around because where I needed to go was directly behind me, so. At this point, my Xbox glitched and deleted my entire save. So I needed to start completely over again. I was thinking, I could just use like a sword and then get up to the point where I was and then switch back to using a fork, that way I wouldn't lose so much time trying to make up for it. But I realized I can't do that. I need to do the challenge beginning to end. So I just started completely over with the fork, and it took quite a while to get back up to where I was, but I did it. So yeah, I just continued my way to Ivarstead, and I got mega distracted because the mountain flowers look so pretty now. Also, I got really distracted by this statue on the side of the road, like on this cliff. Was this always there? There's surely this Talos statue. Was that Talos? I can't tell from this angle. No, it's like the dude from the Companions. Surely this was not here this entire time. I got bit by a wolf who gave me rock joint, so then I just beat the crap out of him, and it was awesome. You guys are not prepared for how pretty the yellow trees are. I found Thistle's cabin, so then I stole all this. I borrowed all of the ingredients, including a carrot so I could recruit Thistle. I know I was saying no followers, but the pets of Skyrim, they don't actually do any damage. They don't fight, they can't be killed. They're just there to be friends, so I did recruit them. I made it to Ivarstead with just like a few wolves chasing me. And I just cannot get over how pretty the trees and everything were. These mods are literally gorgeous. Then I found Klimek, and he let me take his supplies up to High Hrothgar for him. Me, a complete stranger. And he just had to trust that I wouldn't like grab the supplies and just leave. That kind of always confused me that he just trusted me so easily. But yeah, I made my way up to High Hrothgar. Saw this man. You could grate butter on those abs. Grate butter Great butter, apparently. There was an ice wolf following me that I know I had absolutely no chance of killing because I hit it like 5 times and its health bar barely moved, so I just continuously healed up and just ran up the mountain. I did sneak past the frost troll, and I actually did a pretty good job until I thought the coast was clear. Then I just started walking, and then he sprinted at me, so I don't think I've ever ran away so fast in my life. And then I finally made it to High Hrothgar. I dropped Klimmix supplies off in the chest, and then I went to the Greybeards and like yada yada yada, shout at us, it doesn't do any damage, so I'm like, okay, and if it did, it's their fault, so it doesn't count. I'm gonna skip past the Greybeards getting me to do all their challenges and stuff because we've all already seen it. So basically when I finished with them, I traveled to the Whiterun stables so I could take a carriage to Morthal. That way I could get closer to get the Horn of Jurgen Windcaller. Okay, so when I started working on this next part of the video, I opened up the 6th file and I saw this. Yeah, this is not the footage from the fork video. This is footage from a video where I was trying out a whole bunch of random Skyrim mod. And so, yeah, at least 2 hours of footage is just gone. And I couldn't do anything about it, and I was so upset. Okay, so basically, what happened during all of this is I found an ancient greatsword of chills, so I saved that in case I needed to put it on my fork. And then apparently I found some cultists and I ran from them like I run from all of my responsibilities. And I wrote in my notes, I saw a spider, so that's not fun. I made it to Ustengrav. There were necromancers and bandits. And I wrote down, a bandit helped me kill the witch, and he just dropped dead. Power of Gordon Ramsay, so maybe. So essentially, I just made it past all of Ustengrav by running through the entire thing. And I wrote in my notes, I don't like running, but I will die. And that pretty much sums up the entire experience for me. And I did become ethereal, which was really nice, because that's going to be really essential to battles that I can't win. So I went to Riverwood. I wanted to see if I could steal any soul gems from Delphine so I could like enchant the absolutely ridiculous weapon that I have. Okay, so while I was in her enchanting, I saw that I had the ancient Nord sword of chill, which was 5 points of frost damage. But I also had an axe that like burns the target for 5 seconds, and they take extra fire damage. And I feel like the fire is gonna be better, so that was my main plan. But the problem was all my soul gems were awful, and the last thing I wanted to do was enchant with the awful soul gem and just have to be constantly recharging it. So I enchanted some mundane items, hoping that I could level it up a little bit more. And I actually went to Whiterun and I stole every soul gem that I possibly could find, but I don't think I even found many of them. And apparently at this point I decided that I wanted to use the farm as a house, so if you want to see more about the farm, there's a video right here that I've made before, shameless self-promotion. And at this point there's finally footage for you guys to see the battle at Kynesgrove. On my way to Kynesgrove, I saw the, like, ghost barrow where, there's, like, a dude in there pretending to be a ghost. And I thought, if there's soul gems anywhere that I can use, it might be in there. So I did go in there. And behind a locked door, I found an iron plate boots that would add +2 to my armor. And steel soldier gauntlets that also add +2. So I was just leveling up a little bit, which was really nice. There's nothing more frustrating than having fire being thrown at your face, but you're just smacking them with a fork. But I did poison the fork, and that helped a bit, but not enough to like be extremely significant. There weren't any filled soul gems, so I just continued on my way, hoping that a filled soul gem would just fall out of the sky. And this fox fell down a waterfall, and it was sad. And then I made my way to Kynesgrove. Delphine told me to hurry and get to the dragons because epic dragon battle incoming. So naturally, I went to the inn. And I decided to look around to see if I could steal any soul gems. But yeah, I didn't find any soul gems, so it was finally time to battle the dragon. Delphine had the nerve to say that she could use a hand over here. So then I just put my fork away and decided, you know what, lady, do it by yourself. I began like hysterically laughing while I was doing this. I was watching a show with my family and they looked over at me like I was crazy, but that dragon just like plummeted to the ground and it was awesome. Also, leave a comment down below. Are we voting for the dragon or for Delphine? In case you guys didn't see what happened, let me play it again for you. The dragon knocked Delphine over, glared at her, and then just fell over dead. Delphine started talking about the Thalmor embassy, which I was in no way prepared for. So my brain was just trying to go over possibilities of what I could do. And then I had a light bulb moment. The Mage's College. If there's anywhere with filled gems, it's going to be the Mage's College. Kynes Grove is right next to Winterhold, so I just walked over to Winterhold and took a carriage instead of walking because walking, ew. Once I was actually at the college, I went in, passed the trial, yada yada yada, and got access to the college. I did find a soul gem in my room, which I took. I can't remember if it was filled or not. And then I did see some gems there, which I did steal, and I am not proud of my actions. At this point, I even searched the midden, trying to see if I could find a filled soul gem that was higher than common, but there was no luck. And so then I decided that a common soul gem would have to work for now. I went to the inn and talked to Delphine, that way she'd go wait for me outside of Solitude, and then it was finally time to enchant. So I put 2 perks into enchanting, getting my fork to 14 points of fire damage instead of just 10, and I was so excited because this is seriously going to change the game. And then I renamed it to Took, because it doesn't have 4 prongs, it has 2. Took. There is another fork that you can get outside of High Hrothgar, so this is me trying to find it. I didn't have access to the area where I needed to go yet, but I didn't know that. I just thought it was over here, but it wasn't. Since I didn't find it, I wasn't gonna like bring up this part, but yeah. And then I died. And I got so mad. I decided I needed one very important thing before heading to the Thalmor embassy, so then I made my way to Markarth. Then of course I forgot I was going to have to stop a murder, so I was kind of worried about that, but the second I hit him, he turned his attention to me instead of his victim, so it worked out pretty well. And this part absolutely terrified me. I didn't realize that with the mod I use, it actually burns the bodies to a crisp if you kill them with fire. And he became a skeleton and I got legit jump scared. If I was going to go into the Thalmor embassy, I needed a proper chef's hat. And so the only place I knew where to get one was this awful guy in Markarth. And I figured that hat would look mega fine on me. So then I just did the whole assassin thing where you hide and then you smack them when no one's looking. And then he ran away screaming and absolutely no one cared. And I think that pretty much just sums up him as a person. But then the worst thing that could have possibly happened. He was unkillable. Absolutely unkillable, and it broke my heart. So I tried to pickpocket it off of him. I couldn't get his hat. I searched all of his drawers. I couldn't find a hat. So then I just, I left Markarth brokenhearted. So now it's time for the big guns. I went to Solitude, absolutely terrified, and I gave, what's this dude's name again? Melbourne. I gave Melbourne everything that I had. I gave him all my potions. I gave him all my food, as far as I can remember. And I had to part with Took. Since I gave all my armor to Melbourne, this dude got mad at me for being naked.
Put on a cloth sack at the very least.
But I was not naked. I had shoes on. I went to Delphine and I got all dressed up in my party gear, and I'm still completely covered in blood. This is going to be very convincing, I'm sure. You take one look at this man, you're like, that's a man I want at my party. So I made my way into the embassy, and of course Elendwin came running at me to like talk, but I was not paying attention to her because all I could think about was how much I missed Took. Took. The only thing in between me and Took was a distraction. So of course I got a Colovian brandy from this lady, and then I went and gave it to this guy to see if you could, like, you know, cause a scene.
Attention, everyone! Could I have your attention?
And then Malborn took me to the kitchen, and I stole absolutely everything. I did have to go back and re-record some footage, so some of the footage might not match exactly with what I say, but I promise you, what I say is what happened. But yeah, I stole absolutely everything, and then Took! I put a perk into heavy armor and then tried to sneak past these guys, but then they immediately saw me. So then I went back a save, and just like Bleak Falls Barrow, I was not where I was supposed to be, and I just spawned in this random room, and I don't know where in Oblivion I could possibly be, but there were enemies coming, so I just hid. And I did try to make my way back downstairs because this felt like cheating, you know? I can't just like go back a save and then just be halfway through the embassy, so I tried to sneak back down there. And it just, I was getting my butt kicked. I think at one point, though, I did manage to make it downstairs, and then I started my sneak journey from there. While looting, I found this hat and decided if I can't be a chef, then I will be Santa Claus. I had never left the embassy from upstairs before, so I decided to give that a try. And I was sneaking past, and they instantly saw me, and I realized it was probably from my heavy armor. So I took it off, tried to sneak past, didn't work, so I put it back on and was in this fight with this guy. Yeah, I'm still in shock that I was actually able to do that. So then I decided no more crouching. Like, I'm Gordon Ramsay. I don't need to, like, be scared. So then I just ran into this place and started fighting absolutely everyone else with some strange confidence that I don't know where that came from. The worst thing that I could have possibly imagined happened to me. I ran out of enchants without any more soul gems. I knew I shouldn't have enchanted with a common soul gem, because I went through everything, so now I was back to just having a weapon that just does one. So what did I do? I ran away, okay? And I went back to the Thalmor Embassy, like the original building, and searched it top to bottom to try and find a soul gem, and I came up empty-handed. After a good long while of searching, I just went back and decided to continue, so I stole all the books that I was supposed to and went down into the basement locker dungeon thing. And then I was trying to figure out, hey, what are the chances that this dude has a soul gem on him? And he did not. I took the key and it says he got caught pickpocketing, but he didn't like freak out, so that was kind of weird. And then I opened up this book, and then I just ran and hid in the corner because I knew they were going to come yell at me. As I was hiding, this guard started patrolling the area, and I needed the key to get into the cave, so what you have to do is you have to kill the guy. But I have a fork that does 1 damage, so I'm not going to kill the guy, so I decided to see if I could pickpocket him. And yeah, it is available to steal, but it's a 51% chance, and I kept getting caught. And luckily, when I went back a save, it only teleported me up on this balcony, so I could keep doing it, and doing it, and doing it, until eventually I ended up getting it. Once I did do it, I jumped over the railing, and went straight into the trapdoor, and I didn't even bother fighting the frost troll, I just booked it out the door. Once I got outside, I actually felt like crying because this took hours. Sneaking past everyone, oh my gosh, like this was actually completely awful. Okay, so then I went downstairs at the Redwood Inn or whatever, and I took all my stuff back that Delphine was holding for me, and it was really, really nice. And then I went to Dragon's Reach, and I got a soul trap book because I never want to be put in that predicament again where I don't have any soul gems and I'm just stuck with a terrible weapon. Once I had the soul gem, I decided to go to Iverstead and then walk to Riften from there. That way I could, along the way, just capture a few souls of maybe some elk or deer to try and recharge my weapon a bit. And at this point, I rage quit for 4 months. Yeah, and then when I eventually came back and picked up the controller, I was outside of Riften. And I forgot how pretty the graphics were here. But then I had to pay to get in, which I later realized it was because I was covered in blood, so my speech skill was really, really low. And if I had a good weapon, I would have absolutely murdered this guy for taking my money. I then went and talked to the most handsome man in all of Skyrim, Brynjolf, and it's seriously criminal that we can't marry him in this game. But yeah, he gave me like the quest to do a little bit of a steely, reverse pickpocket, that sort of stuff. And then I needed to head down to the Ratway, and I am just obsessed with the little fishing rods everywhere. Now in the Ratways, this is where the fun begins. I had 1 soul gem to my name, 1 filled soul gem to my name, and I hoped that would be enough to get me all the way through. And then, of course, these 2 enemies up here were stupidly tough. And eventually they killed me. And so then when I reloaded, it was the Bleak Falls barrel glitch again, where I got teleported completely somewhere random. And so then I just went back and saved, but this time used the save in Riften before coming into the Ratways, because, you know, I didn't want to cheat my way through. And so I was able to go in and start the fight again. I once again forgot killing them with fire turns them into a charred skeleton, and I screamed out loud when I saw that. They didn't have much but some gold, and along the way I found some pots, and so I took every pot that I could because I don't know why, actually. I did find a skeever though, so I was excited to fill up some more soul gems. So then I got my soul trap ready and I missed. I eventually did get him though when I got a soul gem, which was really nice so I could recharge my weapon a bit. And then this big beefy dude came out of nowhere. And I got murdered quite gruesomely. And so then, once again, when I came back from the save, I was not where I was supposed to be, and I couldn't move. So then I gobbled some cheese to get my health back up, looked down, and I was stuck in a cauldron. I was taking all the bowls, and now I was in a bowl full of bowls. I tried whirlwind sprint, I couldn't get out. I tried the good old-fashioned way of just jumping, and it barely worked, but after some time, I managed to get out. I was kind of worried. I thought I was going to be stuck there for forever. I did see the ghost, but I didn't want to do that quest now, but I did run up and see if I could pickpocket her. But I was told that she was in fact busy, which I probably should have guessed. And then I saw the skeever named Scritch, and he's just adorable. So I decided that he's coming home with me. And so I adventured a little bit, and then I found the key for him. And then I let him out, and I made him carry all my plates and bowls that I was carrying. And then I finally made it to the Ragged Flagon. I didn't want to pay the bartender for information, so instead I went and talked to Brynjolf about Esbern. And then I went into like the back area of the Ratways or whatever, and couldn't help but notice the recharge on my fork lowering significantly. Charging with a common soul gem was a huge mistake, but I guess I was just working with what I had. I upgraded my sneak level. I made it so now sneak attacks with one-handed weapons do 6 times more damage, which was going to be really nice. And there were a crap ton of Thalmor soldiers, so I just sprinted through the entire thing. I decided I wasn't going to fight them today. And then I eventually found Esbern, just as friendly as always.
Go away!
Don't know why the audio was doubled there, but it was for a bit. And then he decided to unlock his million locks on his door. But this is just my thought on it, okay? Like, if you don't want someone getting into your house, this is what you do. You buy 5 locks. Or maybe 6, I don't know. The number of locks varies, you know? But you only lock half of them. That way, if someone tries to get into your house, they're always unlocking a few, but they're always locking other ones. I don't know if that would actually work, but that's always a theory I had. Once in Esbern's house, I stole all of his bowls. Like everything that I possibly could shove in my pockets, I did. I was looking for soul gems, but I didn't find any. There were still a lot of Falmor because, you know, I didn't fight any of them. So what I ended up doing was I just shouted, become ethereal, and then I booked it through the entire thing. And then I made my way back to the Ragged Flagon and thought I was safe, but no, the Falmor followed me into the Ragged Flagon. And the Thieves Guild did nothing. They just kind of stood there and watched me get chased and have, like, just look at this. They don't care. So whenever possible, I just screamed, become ethereal, and then just continued my way. And at this point, I did get stuck on Scritch, which did happen a few times during this playthrough. I made my way out of the Ratways, and then as soon as I could, I fast traveled to, I believe I went to my farm. Yes, I did. Okay, so this is me the first time you guys actually see the farm because I lost the footage of when I got it. But this is where I've decided to keep all my bowls, plates, cauldrons, the works, and it started to get very laggy. And guess who forgot that she already went to the College of Winterhold to look for soul gems? Me. And of course, I did a cinematic view with something I already did a cinematic view of. I guess that just shows it's very cool. Yeah, I just went and I stole every single soul gem I could find, because earlier I was just trying to find big ones, but I just took all of them. And then when I went down to the midden, because I have the memory of a P, apparently, I fought an ice wraith. Then it had the nerve to use my last bit of enchantment on it to kill it, but then I got its soul, so I feel like it's kind of like payback. It made it see even. And then I stayed in there for a bit just to collect some souls to try and, you know, get souls. I am terrible at this. And then I went back to Riverwood to deliver Esbern to Delphine, and of course they babbled for a while, and I'm skipping it because it took a while. At this point, I needed to get to Skyhaven Temple, so then I fast traveled to Markarth. That way I could, you know, walk. And dude, Markarth is just beautiful, honestly. And then I just started walking. I was trying to get the cinematic shot of Skyhaven Temple, and then I heard something. Yeah. Dwagon. So, you know, I got my fork out all ready for battle, and then he wussed out and flew away. So then I just continued my journey, and I just think all these ruins on the side of this are just gorgeous. And then as I was in the process of running away, the dragon decided that he wasn't done with me. The main problem was this dragon was not landing. Okay, so there was no way I could possibly kill him because I don't have a bow. I don't have like any ranged weapon. The only weapon that I have is a fork, and I don't even have a slingshot that I could like sling the fork up at him. Eventually I found this shrine that I hid in for a bit, and then there was this hunter, but he was absolutely no help whatsoever. He just kind of sat there and watched me get murdered by a dragon. As I was running, I came across Old Herolden, and I decided if anyone could help me out, it would be people. And a lot of the NPCs just kind of chilled there. Some were running, but some of the guards were actually pretty helpful. I was literally useless because once again, this stupid dragon was not landing. And the one time he did land, it was on a roof. A roof! I couldn't reach him. Since I had done absolutely no damage to this dragon, I decided that the village could do without a fork-wielding maniac, and so I just left hoping that the dragon would, you know, stay with the village. And for some reason, I put in footage of me killing a crab. I don't know why. But yeah, unfortunately, the dragon didn't stay with the village, and he chased me all the way to Skyhaven Temple. And eventually, when I went to the Forsworn, they actually were focused on the dragon, which was kind of nice. I could kind of just, like, sneak into the Karthspire. It was pretty hard to see in here, so I just grabbed a torch and then tried to run through the entire thing, and of course, I fell. But yeah, I just ended up running through the entire temple, and it went pretty well. But yeah, I just ran through the entire temple because who needs Esbern and Delphine? Yeah, apparently I do, because I couldn't do anything at the Bloodseal without them. So I just waited for, I think I waited for about an hour until they would show up. waited for Esbern to, like, you know, quit babbling, and he took absolutely forever. But eventually, I decided it was time to head to the Greybeards. So once I got the quest, I went out the back of Skyhaven Temple, and this happened. Yeah, the dragon waited for me outside of the temple. Guys, I'm trying really hard to follow my notes, but what am I supposed to say when in my notes I just wrote I got munched? Mega munched. What does that mean exactly? Oh. Mega munched. Okay, I stand corrected. This fight with the dragon was getting absolutely nowhere. So I just doubled back to Skyhaven Temple and then went out to the Karthspire, because you can actually fast travel from there. And then I went back to the Greybeards and did the whole thing where they yell at me. Okay, so after all of the shouting, it was time to go see Parthenax, and there was actually a second fork behind like all of the yucky snow and stuff you have to shout past. So I'm gonna try and get there. I sped up the Greybeards walking just because I thought it was comical. And so then I was just basically making my way up the mountain, and I wasn't exactly sure what I was looking at because I was just reading off of like an internet thing of how to find the forks. And then I came across this bridge, and then I needed to get down to the bottom, so I died. But then when I went back, I got down there safely. And if you actually like look around this corner on top of a nearby rock, there's a fork. I don't know how people find this stuff, honestly. But the thing is, you are not actually able to interact with this fork in any way. So what you have to do is you have to use unrelenting force to break it out of wherever it is, and then you can actually grab it from there. And I can tell you with full confidence, I spent 1 hour and 30 minutes trying to get this fork, because whenever I shouted at it, it would just fly off in another direction. I could always find the knife, but not the fork. And I got so raged from not being able to grab this second fork that I rage quit again. I don't remember how long I rage quitted for, but I'm assuming it was at least a month. I eventually made it to Parthenax, and I made sure to put away my fork because I didn't want to be intimidating. And then I skipped past all the stuff where he's talking about how I have to find the Elder Scroll and everything. So then I went back to the College of Winterhold. How many times am I going to do a cinematic view of this orb? I get that it's cool. I just keep forgetting that I'm going there. Okay, so then I went to the orc, and he told me yada yada yada. You gotta go to like the frozen ice place to get this book, whatever. Just being here reminds me of that one time I had him be an AI, and I asked if it was Team Edward or Team Jacob. That was probably the best thing I've ever done. But the thing was, I'm still dealing with the same problem that I was back at the Greybeards place, because I'm not going to be able to get the Elder Scroll with just one fork that is constantly having to be recharged. So I'm like online looking through like all of the different forks I can get. I've been following this thing since the beginning. And one of the only plausible options was I needed to buy Honeyside Manor, which is the house in Riften, because if you decorate it, it actually comes with a fork. But I don't have 8,000 gold to buy that. At this time, I only had 1,600 gold. And the only other option was to go all the way to Solstheim. And was there any chance of me going to Solstheim just to get a fork? Yes. Once in Solstheim, if I say to the northwest side of the island, there's a place called Bloodskull Barrow, where the fork was supposedly at. So I just needed to head in that direction. As I came up across these two reavers, I was fighting them, but just in the back of my mind, I was thinking about how stupidly powerful everything in Solstheim is. So I'm just keeping that, I'm just keeping that thought in mind and knowing that I need to get home as soon as possible. And another thing occurred to me that I just traveled to another continent just to collect a fork. And at this point is when I'm starting to rethink all of my life's choices. The Reavers were kind of like stupidly hard to kill, and at this point I started thinking about what, I can't remember exactly what that spell is called, like oak flesh. I've never used that before, but I think it's like makes your skin a bit harder. I started realizing that probably would have been a good investment for this challenge. I got one of the Reavers down, and then the other one kind of looked at me weird, and I realized I was standing over their dead friend holding a fork, so that probably didn't look the best. I got attacked by a Nyx Hound, and at this point I was worried that my enchants on my weapons were going to run out really, really quick. And by a weapon, I mean my fork. And I eventually made it to Bloodskull Barrow, and of course I had to kill all the Reavers there. Yeah, instead of trying to sneak past, I just kind of tanked it. And I thought the fork was going to be like kind of hard to find, But it was just laying on a plate next to a salmon steak. So I took it, and of course I had to like do the test, and I can wield it. So I was very happy. So then I just went back to Skyrim. I refused to make the same mistake with this fork that I did with the last one, where I used a common soul gem to enchant it. So I looked up where to get a filled black soul gem, and online it said there might be one at Crooked Tusk Tavern, or whatever it's called. It's near Falkreath, and I haven't been to Falkreath there, so I just started walking there. And of course there was like an assassin that attacked me, so that was very unkind. And eventually when I made it to the Cracked Tusk Keep, I can't remember what it was called, but I realized it was in Orc Camp. And I normally don't invade Orc Camp, so I wasn't quite sure what to expect. And I didn't really want to kill any of them because, you know, this is their house. And I just kind of like ran in to rob them. So I did my best to not kill any of them, especially when I got into this room. I just kind of waltzed around them a bit. Luckily, there was only one orc there, but yeah, I used Become Ethereal, looked around, and just picked up any soul gems that I could. And I was trying my hardest to keep this guy alive because I felt so bad about breaking and entering, and I didn't want to add murder to the list. But yeah, no matter where I looked, there was not a black soul gem, so I thought maybe it would be over here. So I tried to jump over the traps, and I did end up landing on one and killing him eventually, which I felt very, very bad about. And then yeah, the shards of Merun's Razor were here, and then when I went back up, there was another one. Oh gosh, yep, that's where he died. That's where he died. But yeah, I couldn't find it there, so I decided just to leave. I would have gone back to a different save, but I got a lot of good stuff, so I decided to not. So then I decided the next place to go would be Bard's Leap. So of course I recharged the fork that I did have with this wolf because it was completely out of enchants. I was going to deactivate the tripwire, but then the Forsworn kind of ran over it, so I let him just do that. And then I started fighting these guys. I took down a few, but it kind of took forever, so I just decided to use Become Ethereal, and I was checking every single chest that I possibly could and search for the soul gem, because they were a bit too overpowered for me. I found a few soul gems, but I didn't find the black filled one that I was promised. Am I looking for a filled one? I think I'm just looking for a black one, but there wasn't, regardless, there wasn't what I was looking for. And I did try to pickpocket this Briarheart here, but it didn't go so well. And when I tried to fight the Hag Ravens, it was just useless. I did get the second word of power for Become Ethereal. Was that the second or third? I can't remember. Whatever it was, I got an additional word of power. I just went and I searched for every single chest that I possibly could. And I'll tell you right now, there wasn't anything useful in here. Oh, yeah, I forgot. I recorded that mountain goat. I thought he was cute. But yeah, I decided it wasn't worth it. And I even went back a second time and just went through it. And I spent a good like 15, 20 minutes here just looking at everything. And it was useless. So the internet told me to go back to Shroud Hearthbarrow because apparently there's a soul gem there, but I forgot that I had to go back to the innkeeper, so I went all the way down there, then had to come all the way back up for the innkeeper. And the best thing about being friends with people is that you can rob them blind without them knowing, so I took everything from there. And then I went back and I used a Sapphire Dragon's Claw to, you know, grant me access to the rest of the tomb. There were a few hard enemies in here, but it wasn't anything that Took couldn't handle. I was searching every nook and cranny of this place to try and find the soul gem. So I found a locked door, and behind it was a locked chest, and I realized if it had two-factor authentication, it must be good. So I got into the chest, but no, it sucked. I found a whole bunch of skeletons on this oil pit, and of course I just really wanted to shoot that fire thing down, but I couldn't, so I just used Whirlwind Sprint to see if I could like ram my face into it, and I tried whacking it in the air a few times with my fork, but it didn't work, so I just had to kill everything manually. There were a few normal Draugrs that I had to fight, but they weren't too bad. And I did find a few normal soul gems during this whole thing, which I did take. There were some puzzles too, but they were not too hard at all. And then I reached the end, and this looks like a boss fight room if I've ever seen one. So me and Took were, oh wow, that was a terrible shot I just watched happen. But yeah, boss fight time! Okay, so yeah, the boss fight was actually pretty easy, but there were no black soul gems in there, and I did learn Kind's Piece, and I don't know if I'm the only one, but I called it Kanye's Piece for the longest time with full confidence. The internet thing that I was following said there's 2 black soul gems in Ironbind Barrow, But I wasn't too confident because, you know, everything else on this list hasn't been true, but I went there. Then it was a lizard dude and this lady who were being treasure hunters, and I've done this quest before, so I figured out why not. The dungeon itself went by pretty fast because, you know, I had 2 people with me. But the boss fight is another story entirely. This thing was stinking hard. And for those of you who haven't done this quest, the lizard guy betrays you at the end. And he's an exceptionally powerful mage. And I think I accidentally hit him. And so he was fighting me at the same time we were fighting this guy. So that was an oopsie on my part. So I just had to go back, and then he was cool with me. And then finally, after so long, the dude was dead. And he actually did have 2 black soul gems on him. And literally, I felt like dancing. And then, of course, this guy's like, oh my goodness, we did so good, yada, 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 blood sacrifice. But luckily, I did save after this guy. But then, look, he started reanimating the dude we had just killed to kill me again. And so I decided to just do the old thing that I do with guards. And I just put my weapon away, and somehow it, like, glitched him out a bit. And then he just walked away from the fight. And honestly, I'm fine with that. I needed a few sacrifices myself to fill the black soul gems, so I just went and found this bandit camp, and I took a few of them down to fill the gems. And then I headed to Whiterun to use the mage's dude's enchantment table or whatever. And yeah, I used the same enchant as last time, but used the black soul gem so it won't die as fast. And we have Took, but now we have Threek. I don't know why I'm the way that I am. With my new enchantments, I started heading towards the crazy guy in the ice place because I needed to start finding the Elder Scroll so I can continue the game. Yeah, I saw him down there and I jumped on his head. I don't know why, I just thought it would be fun. So yeah, he did the whole blah, 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 I'm crazy, blah, 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 Elder Scroll, and then he told me where to find it. Also, one of the mods added this super cute gate just outside of Winterhold, and I just wanted to show you. And then this right here is me getting mauled by a saber cat, so enjoy. Okay, so I finally made it to the place I needed to, and I meant to hit sprint and accidentally whirlwind sprinted off the edge of the mountain. And apparently I didn't learn my lesson because I did it again. So I finally made it into the Dwemer place, but then I realized I didn't bring very much food. So I was kind of worried I was going to die really quickly. And then while on the topic of worrying, I started worrying about not having enough soul gems to actually get through. But then I remembered that the little Dwemer guys, when they die, they have a good chance to drop a soul gem, and sometimes it's filled. So that kind of helped a bit. My first enemy at the dungeon came over, so I just tried to sneak, hoping to get my, sneak level up a little bit. And it did work for a while. And until I decided to attack him for some reason, and do you see the amount of damage I did? It was basically nothing, and that was with times 6, okay? So after a stupidly long time, I killed him, and then I decided to level up and put some perks into heavy armor so I would die less. I got Juggernaut stage 3 now, and well fitted, so 25% of armor bonus while I'm wearing all heavy armor. I'm pretty sure I was wearing all heavy armor. My notes say, let me check, and then I am, so I guess I am. I came across another spider and got absolutely mercilessly destroyed. And while in the process of getting my butt handed to me on a silver platter, I realized that I still had rock joint. So that means all my attacks were 25% less. So I cured it, and I just tried to continue on with my life. The amount of times I had sicknesses in this and just didn't realize it. Then it was time for this Khajiit, and in my notes I just wrote, I got absolutely wrecked by the kitty cat. Which is true, he murdered me effortlessly. And so this time I put a fork in each hand, and I tried to see if I could pickpocket anything off of him, but I just didn't do it. And the fight actually went a little bit better when I had, when I was dual wielding the weapons, so that was good. And the thing that I was trying to avoid this whole time happened. I got attacked by none other than a sphere. And while dual wielding, I actually fought him better than I thought I would, and then at the end I did have to heal up while attacking him. But I thought I had absolutely no chance of killing him, so I was pleasantly surprised. So I did open this door, and there was a sphere inside, guarding a chest. So I figured, you know, whatever's in that chest must be good. And I ran past him when I could, and there was nothing good in the chest, so. At this point, I decided to sprint past as many enemies as I possibly could, because I was about to die here. And I tried Battle Cry and it didn't work, so then I just decided to, like, use one of my past saves, because I wanted to try again. Why? I just died. In my notes I said I wanted to try again. Why did I? But do you remember that Bleak Falls barrel glitch where it just spawns me somewhere completely random? Yeah, it happened again. And I didn't know where I was. All I know is I was getting mercilessly attacked. So I did try to go back and everything to, you know, try and not cheat the dungeon. But no matter what I did, I got put in this particular place. And there was nothing I could do about it. So I just took some healing, and then, yeah, I pulled the levers to go down to the bottom of the ruins. So it actually brought me to, like, nearly the end of this pit that goes all the way down. And if you look up, that's about where I was before, I'm assuming. And it actually made me feel a little bit better, because I normally skip all of this and just jump all the way down to the bottom using Become Ethereal. So that made me feel a bit better, because I was going to skip all of that anyway. There were a lot of Falmer after me, so I booked it. And I did find this lever. There was just so many after me, so I just ran. I knew that I wouldn't be able to take them all at once. Maybe if they were like one at a time, I'd be able to, but... And eventually I made it to where these two people are arguing just before we head into Blackreach. I kind of wanted their armor, so I decided to wait until after they fought to leave. But yeah, they kind of took a while, so I just left. Once I actually got into Blackreach, I was visited by a very kind sphere. And yeah, he kind of refused to die and murdered me several times. Luckily, I didn't have the same glitch where it brought me completely somewhere random in Blackreach, which was really good. But the downside to that is I had to fight him over and over and over. So since I couldn't kill him, I just eventually decided to go back before I actually came to Blackreach, to save before I came into Blackreach. And then I came back and was able to kind of just sneak around. Once I was able to get away from the dormer, oh yeah, I forgot, there was just like a big circle there. And I don't remember there being a big circle, so I decided to make it my life's goal to get to that big circle. I wrote about it several times in my notes. And I did see that pond over there, and I decided I wanted to fish. But then I had to get out of combat, so apparently there was, because there was apparently a Falmer behind me. And while I looked at the fishing rod, it does 3 damage. So the fork is literally worse than the fishing rod. But yeah, this dude was kind of mean, and he murdered me, and it hurt my feelings. When I came back to life, I returned the favor and killed him, but my health was stupidly low. Finally, I was able to fish, and I was really excited to see what yummy little fishies would be swimming in this lake. I got a dire fish, another dire fish. I mean, the situation does seem pretty dire. I know I promised you no more cheesy jokes, and I'm sorry. I did find a few tiny little guppy-looking fish, and also a big giant hunk of metal. But the thing about the metal is it's 25 pounds of pure solid metal, and I have no clue how that didn't, you know, snap the line. After fishing, I decided to return to my quest of finding the circle. I ran to the circle, and it was like in this weird, like, Falmer dungeon place that's always in the middle of Blackreach. And just like I kind of assumed it would be, I think it was just a lighting glitch. It was probably something to do with one of the lighting mods that I had installed. But there were a lot of enemies following me, so I decided to fight fire with fire. So I shouted and summoned a dragon.
Stop it. Get some help.
I was either creating an even bigger problem for myself, or I was using my 2 brain cells and like I rubbed them together to generate an idea. And I think the idea worked. As much as I hate this place, I do have to admit that Blackreach is pretty. And also, my screen kept telling me I should take a bath soon, and I got sick of it. So I decided, yep, I'm going to take a bath right here in dirty mineral cave water. Definitely nothing wrong with that. And right as I tried to take a bath, I got barbecued. So then I figured I just have to deal with the messages on screen, and then I just booked it for the exit. And then, as I was watching the dragon, Scritch showed up. Yeah, Scritch was missing through the entirety of this dungeon, so it was kind of nice to see him. I finally made it into the room with the Elder Scroll, and it's different. It looks like extremely psychedelic, and definitely more reflective than normal. I do kind of like the old look a little bit better, because this one's just kind of intense, but it was kind of cool to see a change. And so then I just pushed all the buttons, and it didn't take long to be able to open this thing up completely. As soon as I got the Elder Scroll, I got the heck out of the dungeon as fast as humanly possible. And basically, I had a lot of stuff on me, and I was kind of running low on food, so I decided to head to my farm so I could kind of unload a whole bunch of stuff and cook some food. I'm really good at narrating. I will admit that my house was starting to get extremely laggy, but I will also admit that I kept adding more things. After making potions and food and all of that good stuff, I went up to the throat of the world and started talking to Parthenax. But we've all already seen like the long scene and everything where we go back in time to see, well, we don't go back, you know what I mean. So I'm gonna skip it. And finally, Alduin showed up. When I finally got him on the ground, I realized that I'm doing basically nothing to him. And Parthenax is doing most of the damage. At this point, I decided to give him a kiss while he was monologuing. Mwah. The next part is generic and kind of takes up a lot of time, so I'm just going to kind of quickly go through it. I went to Dragon's Reach, talked to the Jarl, said, hey, I need to trap a dragon in your castle, and he's like, no. So then I decided to make a peace treaty. So then I went and talked to the Greybeards, and I'm like, hey, I need to make a peace treaty, and they're like, no. And then they finally decided to do it. So I went to Solitude first, talked to this guy, then I went to Winterhold, yada yada yada, lots of snow. Those snow drifts actually look pretty sick, actually. But yeah, I got everyone to come to the peace treaty, blah blah blah, peace treaty, blah blah blah, Alduin, blah blah blah, Delphine sucks. And yeah, now Jarl Balgriff was gonna let me actually trap a dragon in his castle. At this point, I went to every single NPC that I could find that I had made friends with, and I just stole everything out of their houses that they would let me. I guess stole isn't the right word. They let me take it, but when they wouldn't, I bought it from them or stole it from them. I don't actually like stealing from NPCs in games because, you know, they worked really hard for what they have, so it makes me feel bad. But once I got all this stuff together, I went to my house and cooked it, and then I went to Whiterun and, yeah, got ready to trap the dragon. Now it was finally time to trap Odahviing. Couldn't have said it better myself. I always do feel bad when he grabs this guy. I've tried to save him in the past, and there's literally nothing I could do. So I finally trapped him, and then I got him to take me to Skuldolfin, but I was terrified at this point, so let's just head there, I guess. When I landed in Skuldolfin, I was actually starting to get pretty nervous because I remembered there's a dragon priest here. So a dragon spotted me pretty quickly, and I was going to go back, save, and see if I could sneak past him, but then I remembered if I could get a dragon soul, I'd actually be able to unlock another word of Become Erythrio, and that would actually help me sneaking through here a lot, so I decided just to try and take him down. That fight took forever. You don't realize how much patience actually goes into this challenge until you're beating a dragon to death with a fork. These joggers clearly wanted a piece of me even after seeing me completely destroy a dragon with a fork, so I killed them and continued trying to be sneaky. Sneaking didn't really work so well, so I just kept fighting the joggers that came at me, but I wanted to steal his axe so bad. Literally, I just wanted a normal weapon again. This was taking so long. And I knew there was a dragon just around this corner, so I was gonna try and sneak past him like I did in the pacifist video. Yeah, but it didn't work. He saw me immediately, so I just booked it. I took refuge in this like little what's the word? Place. A few draugrs ran in after me, but at first I was like, oh, this is okay, I can handle it. And then another one came in, and then another one, and another one. And I didn't want to waste all of my potions right here just being trapped in this little house with a whole bunch of draugrs. So I used Become Ethereal, and I just ran. I finally made it to Skuldolfin Temple, and I thought I was in the clear. Until I turned around and saw there were 3, and then I just started running. But along the way when I was running, I started to pick up more draugrs chasing me, and eventually it turned into like a Scooby-Doo type episode where I'm just running and there are a ton of monsters chasing me. So I didn't last long. I tried to lead the hordes of draugrs after me over some traps. It worked a little bit, so I would just continue running around in this big circle and I would try and hide. And sometimes it worked. At this point, I was too scared to use a lot of my healing potions, so I just ate exactly 72 tomatoes. Can you just imagine stopping in the middle of a fight, eating 72 tomatoes, and then just continuing the fight like nothing happened? Right now, the main problem, other than the hordes of draugrs running after me, was I needed to get the code in. So I would use Become Ethereal, and I would run in and try and punch the code in when possible. I even used oak flesh, and I think it helped a bit. And of course, I opened the wrong door because I forgot there were different ones you had to pick for the different door. So that was fun. All right, just look at the sheer amount of draugrs running after me right now. finally got the right door open and I ran past everyone. And then there were a few draugrs down in this room, but I took them out fairly easily, even when a few draugrs from before ran in. It wasn't a whole horde of them, so I was able to take them down. I knew there were frostbite spiders ahead, so I popped on some oak flesh and I decided just to fight them. The next room had more draugrs and more puzzles, and both of which were kind of easy to take down and solve, so I wasn't complaining too much. I mean, I was just kind of running around and eventually hitting him, but it wasn't too bad. Since I set the draugr on fire, he looked like that, and it was kind of terrifying. There were a few draugr in this room, so I just went and I smacked the lamp thing above their heads, and it eventually came down on them, and it made my job a lot easier. Wow, I really can't hit that thing, can I? Okay, past this room was actually the door that I have to open with a claw. And there was a draugr overlord in front of this door, okay? And I was starting to panic because last time I fought a draugr overlord, it took like 30 minutes. Killing him was actually easier than I thought it would be. I think it has to do with the fact that I have 2 weapons now, but it's still, I still would have loved a sword. I went through this door and I did get a word of power for the storm call shout, but I'm not going to use it because, you know, it does damage, so. When I finally made it back outside, I could hear the dragon that was chasing me before. So, yeah, and I instantly got spotted, so then I just booked it. Oh, and I knew from experience that if I went up this fast enough, I could actually run into Sovngarde faster than what the Dragon Priest could close the portal with. So, yeah, I did that. And then, I finally made it to Sovngarde. Literally, I forget, every time that I'm here, I forget how pretty it is, and I absolutely love it. And it was kind of weird because I've been working for this for so long, so many times rage quitting. But yeah, I cleared the skies, and then the Stormcloak soldier's like, oh my goodness, turn back. But I ran away from him because I knew he would die, and there was nothing I could do about it, and I didn't want to be sad. And then we finally came up to this guy guarding the gate palace thingy. And then I don't know how to pronounce his name, so I'm not even gonna try. But the thing is, we need to beat him up before passing the bridge. And I knew if I could do it in the pacifist video, I could do it in this video. It was just gonna suck. And he was bullying me. The fight consisted of him running at me, whacking me, and me running away crying, so. And then eventually, he said that I was a worthy opponent, and it made me feel good. So I healed up, and he was still hitting me. Why is he still hitting me? Well, I don't remember this happening. I don't remember that happening. I think what happened is he said, I've waited for such a worthy opponent or something, and so while narrating, I thought that meant that was done. When he eventually did want me to cross the bridge, I crossed the bridge. I made it to the Hall of Valor, and I don't remember there being so much marble. I don't know if that was a mod or something. I mean, if anything, the rock I thought they would have used was diorite. I told you I'd stop with the cheesy jokes, okay? I'm sorry. Anyway, I met up with the dream team, the dragonborn people, and then it was time to fight Albury. As Alduin was dying, I ran to one side, dropped a piece of bread, ran to the other side, dropped another piece of bread, and made Alduin the world's biggest idiot sandwich. And just like that, he died. At this point, I was just in shock and awe that after months and months and months of playing this, I was finally done with it. Like, seriously. At the time of doing this, it's nearly been a year. And I remember being really confused as to why this dragon was blue and none of the other ones were blue. Like, who is this? But anyway, I went into my stats, and as you can see, my favorite weapon was a fork, and that's all I've really wanted. I also stole about 150 items, but we don't need to talk about that. Once again, this project was huge and took a very long time. If you think the video deserved a rating, if you could thumbs up if you enjoyed it, that would be really cool. And yeah, let me know what your favorite part in the video was down in the comments. And let me know what I should do next. Should I beat Mirak with a fork? Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.